right. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm pretty good.
Let me just take my paper here. All right. And your name is Keisha?
Yes, Keisha.
All right, Keisha. All right. Well, what brings you in today?
Well, I have a toddler at home.
Okay.
He's 16 months old. And he is my only child right now. I'm currently expecting another child in August.
Okay.
But since I've, given birth to my 16-month-old son, I feel very anxious and very worried when he's not in my care.
Okay.
So I am having a hard time relinquishing responsibility to my fiance, his father, even my mom, who watches him on a regular basis when I'm at work. I'm constantly worrying about what's going on with him. Is he okay? Is he crying? Is he hurt? I find myself kind of breaking out in a sweat.
Okay.
I feel like I'm having heart palpitations. I get jittery. I just feel really anxious when I'm at work and even at home.
Okay.
If his father is upstairs with him and I'm downstairs.
Okay. Well, it definitely sounds like, it is bothering you that, your son is not in your care. You can't see him all the time. What are some of the things that you have been doing once you feel the heart palpitations, or if you're breaking out in a sweat, if you feel like you're thinking about him a lot? What are some of those things that you have done to kind of ease that?
Well, initially when he was a newborn, it was really bad because I would not allow anyone to care for him except for me.
Okay.
And so I realized that it was creating some tension in my relationship with my fiance. So I did go back to the doctor and I expressed that I was having some anxiety. So she did prescribe some anti-anxiety medicine for me. However, I did not continue taking it because of the symptoms that came along with it.
Right, some of the side effects.
Right, the side effects, exactly. Okay. So I stopped taking it. And eventually I was able to get to the point where I could actually let someone else take care of him.
Okay.
But, I was still feeling really anxious. So now what I try to do is like self-talk. I try to tell myself everything's going to be okay, he's fine, he's well taken care of.
Okay.
Sometimes I pray about it. So between those two things, that's pretty much what I've done so far.
So a lot of telling yourself that things is going to be okay, he's all right, and also just relying on your faith to know that and believe that he's okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And you find that helps?
I do, to a certain extent. I do. As a matter of fact, just recently, my fiance took him out to his friend's house, and so I was home by myself. Initially I was going to go, but I said, no, I need some time to myself. I am pregnant, so I do need to relax while I have the chance. And so while they were gone, I just continued talking to myself, and I just told myself, he's fine. His dad is a great provider. He's never given me any reason to question, his ability to parent him or take care of him. So I was able to relax for the most part. I did call once just to check on him, and he was fine.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm just letting it go. And so I just kind of relaxed and watched TV.
Did you find yourself, when you were watching TV, if you became distracted about maybe, what he might be doing? Is he safe? Are they both safe? Things like that.
Well, actually, I started watching one of my favorite shows on television. And so for a while there, I was just focused on watching TV, and so I wasn't even thinking about what they were doing. I guess as time progressed, I started to get a little antsy.
Okay.
But I told myself I'd already talked to him.
Right.
They're fine, so I'm not going to call.
Okay.
So I found that when I was doing something that really caught my interest, I wasn't worrying as much.
Okay. So it definitely sounds like you have some ways of being able to cope with your little one being gone. If it's not watching a show, if it's just telling yourself that everything's going to be okay. I can definitely hear that you've already started working on some things to make yourself feel better. I'd like to ask though, do you kind of feel like have you ever had feelings of worry or stress prior to being pregnant at all?
Yeah, I would say I'm a worrywart.
Okay.
And so, little things would worry me. For example, if, one of my parents or my brother was going out of town, I worry a little bit about them being on the road and just making sure that they got there safely.
Right.
There are nights where I'll wake up and then things are just constantly racing through my mind. Just little small things, tend to worry me, and I have to kind of make myself think about something else so I'll go back to sleep.
Okay.
So I think it is kind of in my character to worry a little bit more than the average person.
Okay.
But I would say my number one cause of anxiety at this point is my 16-month-old when he's not in my care.
Okay.
Even when he's in my care, I am constantly looking around and making sure that there's nothing around that could possibly hurt him. For example, I have an iron in my closet that I use to iron, and I keep it on the top shelf. And I make sure that the cord isn't hanging so that he doesn't grab it and it doesn't fall on him.
Right.
And so when I'm putting it up and I'm making sure that the cord is out of his reach, in my mind I can see flashes of it falling and hitting him on his head.
Right.
And it just kind of it just gives me the chills because it scares me so much that, the thought of something happening to him.
So you find yourself thinking about events that could happen.
Right.
That may not likely happen because you've already prepared for it.
Exactly.
And that still gives you that sense of fear that it could happen. Okay. I can definitely see that, where it could give you a sense of, I need to make sure that these things are out of place so my son does not touch them so it doesn't hurt him.
Right.
So it's more about protecting him. You
Right.
have to protect him. Anybody else that you feel like you're more protective over? Are you protective over yourself? Other family members?
Not as much as my son. I think he's the main one that I'm protective over.
Your number one priority right now.
Every now and again I'll worry about, my mom when she's driving somewhere. But definitely my son.
How do you, when you're feeling anxious or worried, are you thinking about, maybe what it starts to feel like a little bit later after you've been thinking about things for a period of time? Do you kind of think back like, okay, I don't need to worry, I don't need to be stressed or upset about this, but what happens if it doesn't go away? What's kind of like the next level of that?
The next level of me worrying about something?
And if it doesn't go away from the watching a favorite show or being able to kind of talk yourself away from those thoughts.
If he's not with me, then I will just constantly call and check on him.
Okay.
Like if he's with my mom, which I will say I've been able to deal with him being with my mom more so than being with his father.
Okay.
And that's mainly because my mom is a nurse, so she has been a practicing nurse.
All right.
And she's a mom.
Right.
You know.
So it's
And my
comfortable.
brother and I, we're still here, so she must have done something right.
Right. She has all the credibility.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas, his father, this is his first child as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
This is new to him.
Right.
I feel like he doesn't necessarily have the same maternal instincts that I have.
Okay.
And so, even though when I see him with him,
Right.
I see that he's just as protective of him as I am. And I've never really questioned anything that he's done as far as his judgment.
Right.
It's still hard for me to get past him taking care of him on his own.
Okay.
And so I'll constantly call him. What is he doing? Send me a picture.
Right.
FaceTime me. Yeah.
Yeah. And once you see him and you hear him on the phone or see him on the phone, how does that make you feel?
It's reassuring.
Okay.
It's reassuring. And he's very patient with me because he doesn't get angry when I call him.
Mhm.
He'll just say, everything's okay, everything's all right. If I ask him to FaceTime me or send me pictures, he'll do it.
Okay.
So he's very patient with me. But yeah, when I see him, when I can physically see him or hear him, I feel better.
Okay. All right. So, if you had to have the ideal situation about being anxious about, wanting to know if your son is okay or not, what would be ideal for you to feel like? What kind of place would you like to get to?
I would like to get to the point where he can stay with his dad,
Mm-hmm.
especially and my mom, and I don't worry at all.
Okay.
I am able to just focus on and enjoy whatever it is that I'm doing without these thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and these fears popping up in my mind.
Okay. Have you ever had a fear of just letting go of and not just like with family, but just letting go of things in general, just kind of putting it back on the back burner, or those things just keep kind of harboring within you, like your body, and you can really feel it and think about it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gotten better over time.
Okay.
I feel like the older he gets,
Mm-hmm.
the more independent he is.
Okay.
And with him being able to communicate a little bit more,
Yes.
I'm more comfortable,
Okay.
with him being with someone else besides me.
Okay. So you get to a point where he can kind of tell you a yes or a no,
Mhm.
or what he likes or doesn't like, and
Mm-hmm.
you feel like, okay, well, if he's getting older, he can communicate a little bit better to me, especially if he was in a situation where he was not comfortable.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel, with him being older now, he's walking.
Mm-hmm.
He can eat by himself, so I don't worry about him choking as much.
Right.
But I think he's able to really communicate to other people, okay, you're doing something that I don't like.
Yes.
And hopefully, well, I know his father definitely would understand
Mhm.
and adjust if needed. But he would be able to talk to me and tell me what's going on.
Right. Okay. Well, it definitely sounds like you just, you want nothing but the best for your son. You want him to be protected. You want him to be able to talk to you. And so I can hear all of those things. So I guess the next thing is just to try to get you to that place where you're comfortable enough to focus on whatever activity you're doing, whatever, your day holds for you, to try to get you to the point where you know that he's okay and he's safe.
Mhm.
So, if you like, that would be something that we could work on.
Definitely.
And kind of talk about, and just kind of build that, I guess the level of confidence that you have for others to take care of him.
Right.
And know that he's okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I do want to just kind of remind you a little bit about, just confidentiality. While we're in here, as long as you and I are talking, if you don't, say that you're not going to hurt yourself or hurt someone else, that all the information stays private between you and I.
Right.
If you do happen to say any of those things, I do have to notify the responsible parties. So, I do want to mention that. The other thing I kind of want to talk about too is if you're comfortable with meeting, you let me know if you like to meet once a week, if you feel like you need more than once a week or a few times a month. We can also talk about that type of schedule as well. But the main thing is that I definitely want to help you to be able to see how we can kind of resolve those feelings of just worry and kind of move to the next level, which is basically a sense of like just being vulnerable and being able to let go.
Right.
So that will be the next thing that we kind of can talk about, and maybe some activities that kind of can help foster that.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you for coming in today. Do you have any other questions of me at all, or
No, not at this time.
about the process or anything?
Not
Okay.
at this time.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.